Welcome to Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Expert advice on improving your home from the pages of Today's Homeowner magazine and remodeling contractor Danny Lipford.
Welcome to the show this week. You know, whether you're planning to buy, sell, or remodel your home, all these processes can really be scary because it's not just your home, it's an investment, possibly the biggest investment you'll make in your life. This week we're in San Diego, California, which has been named one of the most desirable places to live in the entire country. As a result of that, real estate is selling at a premium and there's a lot of remodeling taking place. We'll talk with a local remodeling contractor, Steve Lusk, who will tell you about some of the projects you're sure of getting your money back in that investment. Also, we'll talk with a local real estate agent and a nationally known home inspector, all who are part of the processes of buying, selling, and remodeling. Now don't go anywhere because we're going to share some information with you that can help you protect your investment in your home. Stay with us. Welcome to the show. I'm here with fellow remodeler Steve Lusk, who's a remodeling contractor here in San Diego. And Steve, I'm sure you get some of the same questions I get when we're talking with homeowners and they're considering a, say, sizable remodeling project to their house and they're asking you, will I get my money back? I'm sure you get those questions.
Oh, we sure do. In this part of the country, though, it's not as big of a deal because of the proximity we are to the coast. You know, property is expensive here, so the payback is good.
And I guess the consideration of how long that homeowner will stay in the house plays a big part in that, though.
It certainly does, and that decision is driven by the cost of moving, the inconvenience of pulling the kids out of school, leaving your neighborhood, and in California we also have to be concerned about the change of our tax base. Property tax is a big issue.
Sure, I bet it is. Now, what about a situation where someone may be close to overbuilding for a neighborhood, and I almost question it here on this particular job you have going, in that looking around the neighborhood, it's a nice neighborhood, but it looks like with the big guest house and the nice house you're building here, maybe edging up towards the top of the neighborhood.
Well, Danny, the value here is in the land. This client had an improved property and tore everything down to build this new house and a new guest house. So what we're really doing is turning a sow's ear into a silk purse.
Well, I can see where it'll make a big difference and may even serve as a catalyst to get some of the neighbors going.
It'll clearly be a pace setter for the neighborhood.
Now, of course, you know, one of the latest things we're hearing over the last few years are maintenance-free materials, and of course, a lot of those can be more expensive than just traditional painting the exterior of a house or something like that. So I guess you're hearing a lot about that as well.
That's very true, and homeowners indeed are interested in that aspect of the construction. This guest house is a good example and has a lot of those materials.
Well, to look at the exterior, looks pretty traditional.
Well, they are, but what we've actually used here will last a lifetime. The siding and the soffits are a fiber cement material. The shutters are an injected plastic material. The handrail is a wood polymer. The door is fiberglass. The door hardware has a lifetime brass finish. The secondary handrail is stainless steel. Right down to the cat door, which is aluminum.
All right, looks great, and I can tell that it would really last a long time. I guess you'll use the same materials on the house.
Identical materials.
Okay. Now, everywhere, no matter where we are in the country, kitchens and baths are probably one of the best as far as return on your investment, don't you think?
They're dynamite in this part of the country. Very important to resale.
Especially those situations where you have, say, a smaller home with a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, and by adding that extra bathroom, to get it up to a 3-bedroom, 2-bath really can add a lot to that house and bring it up above the standard of the other houses.
Yes, it moves it right up in the market and makes it a lot more desirable. The addition as well of another bedroom. We live in a part of the country that is popular with home officing.
Right.
But in reality is, at resale time, it's a bedroom.
Right, right. What about kitchens around here?
They are very important to the sale of a home. The average kitchen in this part of the country runs around $33,000, $34,000. So it's a big thing, and it's important to have a good kitchen.
Well, it is hard to sell a house and get the real value out of a house without that kitchen looking real good. Well, Steve, thanks a lot for showing us around this project.
Get ready to review your fix-it list as Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine repair and maintenance editor Joe Truini show you this week's simple solution. Brought to you by Dodge.
One complaint you hear from a lot of homeowners is when you have someone come into your house to do any kind of work, they make a big mess.
One of the dustiest messes is made when you're drilling into a drywall or plaster surface.
Now you can put down drop cloths, that helps a lot, but that dust will go all over the room. Or you can take a shop vac and use the hose right up near where you're working, and that'll catch most of the dust.
Those techniques work well, except when you're drilling into a ceiling, because the fan motor has a tendency to blow the dust all over as you're drilling the hole. One technique is to take a foam or paper cup, as we have here, and drill a hole through the bottom of the cup, then use the cup to capture the dust. Start by putting on your safety glasses, then go up and drill on the mark, making sure you hold the cup tight against the ceiling to catch most of the dust. Then, simply empty the cup before moving on to the next hole.
Now this method will catch most of the dust that's created by a job like this, but don't forget those glasses. Welcome back to the show. You know, when you're selling your home, there are a number of things that you can do to not only make the house sell quicker, but also get the most when you sell the home. And here to talk with us about a few of those things, William Johnson, who's a realtor here in the San Diego area. Now, Bill, I've walked around a little bit here and I've noticed a number of things myself, but also some curb appeal issues.
See, I think right in through this part of the property in the front here, I think we could enhance this whole visual area with a planter, an in-ground planter area, and then maybe up on the shelf, utilizing that feature, we could add some color bowls, you know, creating some really colorful florals, adding a good contrast. As you can see in the afternoon, there's very little contrast between the natural stucco and the white. So this color will really enhance the curb appeal and really give quite an attraction when you're driving by the house.
And I can see it warm it up quite a bit.
Indeed.
Okay, what else you find?
I found some things over here in the driveway. Danny, when I'm showing a property, one of the first areas that a buyer sees is right here in the front of the house. And when the seller attempted to create a security or sense of security for themselves, they also gave a bad message to the buyer. The buyer's first instinct is they're a problem in the neighborhood. So I think this could go.
Right, and that way they could really highlight that door a little bit better, make it a little more attractive, and again, warm up the entryway a little bit.
The white front door is very attractive, and I think it would show much nicer than the security gate in the front. And now over here I noticed that the screens were bent and that the caulking around the windows is a very sloppy job. And I think that, you know, a painter could come in and take care of this for just about an hour's worth of work and change the whole dynamics of the front of the property.
Well, you know, when a prospective buyer sees something like this, I think they see a little bit of neglect. And so if this area is neglected, maybe some other area might be neglected.
Right.
And it's a good example of that where they might need an electrician.
You bet.
Now, if I was a prospective buyer, this would really concern me looking at this. I'm sure you would recommend that electrician.
Most assuredly. One, because there's a lot of loose wires up in here, but also this is going to show up in a contractor's inspection. You know, they're going to raise several issues here. I think this is something that the homeowner would definitely want to handle right now.
Sure, and also having a mason come out and kind of seal this area up so that there's no chance of water getting in there and that type of thing.
I've also noticed through this whole area, they've got a lot of storage and a lot of superfluous things that are sitting around here that could be cleaned up. Perhaps some of it put in storage. And I noticed up in front of the trash barrels that it would be very useful to have a privacy panel so that we have a nice clean front. We don't see the trash can sitting on the at the end of the driveway here. Danny, this is also an area that would be critical to take care of, and that is this large doggy door panel that they have here in the back door.
Not everybody has a dog, huh?
No, they don't. They have kitties too. I noticed out here in the kitchen, you know, one of the things I'd recommend is to clean all these personal items up and put them all in cabinets and create the illusion of space. This is really critical for a buyer. They want their kitchens bright, light, and spacious.
And what about things like this? What about personal things?
Personal things I would take down, I would put down. They're not here to see your family. They're here to view whether the kitchen is adaptable for their needs.
Okay, and looks like maybe new sinks in hand.
Yes, I noticed that the porcelain has been chipped here in several places, and the grouting along the sink is inconsistent with the tile, and also it's chipped away here. I noticed on the faucet too that it could use a good either a replacement or at least a good cleaning.
Makes sense. Now, what about some other general guidelines for the interior in selling a house?
I'd say that two of the most critical areas is the flooring and the walls. I think the walls needing a fresh coat of paint would be very useful. You want to spend some attention on your carpetings and hard surface. Make sure they're clean. If they're worn, replace them.
Okay, and also I noticed as we were walking through the house some problems with even some small things, maybe some cracked window panes, some of the doorknobs.
Correct. I noticed that there was a crack in one of the little bedroom windows. Also that the doorknobs in the hallway were very loose, and when you reach down to open the door, you don't get a nice solid feel like I'd like.
So basically anything that shows a little neglect or a little worn look, or anything that maybe takes away from the spaciousness of a house really needs to be addressed, doesn't it?
Absolutely. You know, just tidy it up, make it look nice, add some color, some fresh flowers, clean your counters, you know, take care of all the loose knobs, make sure that your mirrors are all cleaned, sinks are clean, bathrooms clean. Most critical.
Okay.
Makes the house show nice.
Now, on the buying and selling process, how important is a home inspection?
Absolutely critical. I wouldn't represent a buyer without one.
Well, when we come back after this next segment, we'll talk with a home inspector here in San Diego about that process.
It's time to check out this week's best new product with Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine Editor-in-Chief, Paul Spring. Brought to you by the Home Depot.
Many homeowners are looking for ways to extend their driveway to park an extra vehicle without pouring concrete or putting down extra asphalt.
Well, Danny, we have a best new product here that addresses that. It really gives you the solid surface of concrete, but it gives you the appearance of grass. These are permaturf lawn panels, and they come in a 13 by 13 panel, just like this. They snap together, and they allow you to plant grass in here, yet still have support for vehicles and a lot of other situations.
Now, in a situation like this where we have an established line, how does this exactly work?
Well, actually, you'd be down a level from this with compacted soil. Put these on top and snap them together. Put topsoil in each individual little cup here, like this. Seed it with grass, and it would grow up to the point where it can be mowed, driven on, and so on.
Now, I've seen this type of system used in commercial applications a good bit, where people are concerned about water runoff, and it allows the water to penetrate down through, preventing any excessive runoff from one property to the other.
Exactly. So it's great for use in an area that typically collects water, or in an erosion area where it's really going to keep everything solid and where it is.
And I would guess it would be good for like walkways or pathways around your landscaping out in the yard.
Exactly right. They come 10 to a box, $30 a box, and that'll cover about 10 square feet.
Great. Over the last few years, the property values here in California have risen dramatically. So it's very important that a home buyer knows the exact condition and exactly what they're getting when they're purchasing a home. Even the modest home that we looked at in the earlier segment was on the market for over $225,000. So that really emphasizes the need for a professional home inspection to evaluate the home and to tell a buyer exactly what they can anticipate in expenses in the next 12 months and in the next 5 years. Now, the house you see behind me is having a home inspection conducted on it right now. There are a number of professional organizations for home inspectors. The largest is ASHI, the American Society of Home Inspectors. And with us today is the Vice President of ASHI, Mike Casey. Now, Mike, we were at a house earlier in San Diego, and there were some obvious problems with the sub panel on the outside. I'm sure you find a few problems with the electrical systems.
Yes, electrical problems are very common, although sometimes they're not as obvious as other times. That's why a professional home inspector is going to remove the interior cover of the electrical panel and look inside, checking for proper size of wire to breaker, make sure that there's no overfusing conditions. We'll be looking for multiple wires connected to breakers and so on. And that does require removal of the interior cover to see what's going on inside.
Okay. Now, how can a homeowner or a home buyer really benefit from a home inspection?
Well, a home inspection is a visual examination of the structural and mechanical components of the home performed by a knowledgeable person. A home buyer will gain knowledge of the property, the condition of the property prior to purchase, which makes it much more an advantage to make an informed decision on what you're buying. Are there going to be major repairs that are necessary, or are you just verifying that the home is in good condition?
Okay. Now, after you've taken a look at all the electrical systems on the outside, how do you like to proceed with a home inspection?
Well, I prefer to do the exterior of the home first and I would complete looking at grading, exterior stucco, and so on, and then I would move inside. One of the most important components to inspect on the interior of the home is the heating and cooling system. And I like to remove the front covers, look inside at the combustion chamber, checking for anything unusual. I also like to look at the venting of the system. This happens to be a gas-fired furnace. It's vented in combination with the water heater. If the venting isn't installed properly, it could be a hazardous condition for the homeowner. We can also see here the condition of the filter, the condition of the supply ducting. We can see here that there might be
Looks
some
like
air
some
leakage.
problems there. May need a little maintenance.
Yes, our reports would typically include not only items that are in need of immediate repair, but also maintenance issues such as the air leakage and the supply ducting here.
Okay, now this is very important when you're looking at the report from a home inspector, because a system like this, to replace it can be $1,000 to $1,500, and as Mike mentioned, it can be a safety hazard if that gas is escaping into the house and not properly venting to the exterior. Now Mike, on the interior, what are some of the other things that you inspect?
Well, other items we would be looking at would be going through the interior of the home, looking at ceilings for any evidence of water staining, which could be a plumbing leak or a roof leak. We would also look at the electrical system, checking receptacles. I'd be looking underneath the bathroom vanities for any evidence of leakage, operating all the plumbing fixtures for proper water flow, make sure we've got hot water at all the fixtures. We'd be checking doors, things of that nature for any unusual slope or binding and so on. And these would all be included in my written report at the end of the inspection that I would present to the client.
Now Mike, this is a type of roof you really can't get out on to inspect, can you?
Well, you're right, Danny. This is a clay tile roof. We would not walk on this. We're lucky enough in this home to have a balcony where we can see quite a bit of the roof. I'm also going to put my ladder up on the eaves and look at the roof in that fashion. And then sometimes I just have to break out my binoculars and look at the roof that way.
Now, when you have your report filled out, I'm sure you can create a panic occasionally with all the items you may have listed on there.
Well, that certainly does happen occasionally. That's why it's so important that we have our client on the site with us during the inspection. This way I can explain to the prospective home buyer the conditions that I found, and they can keep it in perspective. What items are maintenance items, what may be critical to be repaired now, and what items may be something that could be deferred to 3, 4, or 5 years down the road.
Okay. Well, this is great information, and I appreciate you letting us kind of tag along here on your home inspection. And before you take the advice of a realtor on a recommendation for a home inspector, talk with some friends that have had home inspections and consider a professional organization like the American Society of Home Inspectors. Next, our Around the Yard.
Now, let's go outside for Around the Yard with Danny and lawn and garden expert Jennifer Brennan. Brought to you by Scott's Lawn Products, for a great lawn, guaranteed.
No matter what tool you're using and where you're using it, it works better if the blade's good and sharp.
That's especially true with pruning shears, Danny. Every time I do a pruning project, I take my sharpening stone and I hone the edge of this blade, and that guarantees that I get a nice clean cut and have healthier plants as a result of that. The other thing I like to do is keep the blades very clean, so I use a polishing stone to clean up any residue from past pruning projects. And also, if the blades ever get wet, I keep them nice and dry.
Now this looks like just an excellent set of pruning shears. I've seen a lot of the real inexpensive ones, but how much is a good quality set like this cost?
These start at $30 and they range to $50. And when you go with a good quality set like this, you can always find replacement parts. So if you can't keep the edge on the blade, you can get a new blade, or you can also get the other parts to go with it. And a good quality pair like this will last you a lifetime.
Now, whether you have $1 million home like this or a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, you can see how important it is to talk with the experts, whether you're buying, selling, or improving your home. Now, real estate agents, contractors, and home inspectors all can help you make a good informed decision. Now, I hope you enjoyed our shows here in San Diego. I'm Danny Lipford. We'll see you next week.